this was 4 weeks ago on a Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm, on a Thursday.
So how did this transpire? How did y'all first find out that something had come up with your grandson?
They called Mandy from the school. Apparently, from what we know, and I believe we have the right account, Jade hadn't been feeling good that week at all. And usually I give in to him and let him stay home, but I didn't that week just because of the good Lord. And he went to school and had a normal morning. Went into the cafeteria and they said that he turned beet red and started shaking. His arms locked and his fist shot out and he dropped. And he was gone. And they, Ashley Hull is the nurse. Very, very good nurse. And she cares and she knows what she's doing. Anyway, I don't know how they got her, but they got her in there. She immediately started CPR on him. Mr. Williams, Walter, I believe is his name. He's a Spanish teacher at the high school, was on lunch. He's also one of our volunteer firemen. And the call came and he turned and went right into the school and took over CPR for her because I understand it's pretty exhausting. Anyway, right behind him was the EMTs and they shocked him. By the time they did this, our superintendent, Mr. Cochran, our assistant superintendent, Jeremy Williams, was there. And Jeremy and Chris have refereed basketball together forever.
So you have.
And he told Chris, he said, I probably wouldn't tell another parent this, but he said he was blue and not breathing. And he said when they shocked him, he took that first breath of air. He said we were so thankful. And one thing I wanted to say, you just can't imagine the way they worked. The school worked together. They've always been real good, you know, to us because Jade, because of his first bout, has small learning disabilities and they worked so good with us. But they knew what they were doing and they didn't hesitate. They saved his life. They saved his life. And because of Ashley and Mr. Williams doing the CPR, he doesn't have any brain damage, nothing like that.
They got to it that quick.
That quick. I mean, they just immediately was on him. They also worked together to help the other kids, which you don't think about. But I have a little granddaughter that is in the same class with Jade. Her name is Carly, and they're best of friends. Where you see one, you see the other. And she was right in front of him in line. So they pulled in counselors from the other campuses and they talked to the 5th graders that day. Then the office staff made personal one-on-one phone calls to every 5th grade parent. They did not disclose who it was, but they said, this has happened, your child was there, this is the measures we've taken. We have an amazing school. We have an amazing group of people. And then, that Thursday night, Mr. Cochran, the superintendent, Jeremy Williams, the assistant superintendent, Mary Jones, the principal of the elementary, and Miss Reinhardt, the assistant principal, and the counselor from the elementary. I cannot remember her name. I've only met her once. Thank you. Yes. And also, Jim Moreland Jr. came, the school board. They were all there. And they stayed for hours until the doctor come out and talked to us.
Where?
In Fort Worth.
At the hospital at Fort Worth. They all came.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it was an amazing support.
They were there when the ICU doctor come out and told them that had they not have done the job they done, we wouldn't.
Well, I'm glad they got to hear that.
Yeah. You don't hear a lot of good about kids, but these 5th graders treat Jade as an equal. They realize something's different with him, but they treat him as their friend and as their equal. They never tease him. They never taunt him. They're just wonderful kids with him.
Some parents, you know, some grown people could learn things like that.
Yes, yeah, because he loves to go to school. He hasn't always, you know, he doesn't like the work. He loves the fellowship with the kids and stuff, but that's about it, you know.
Well, I know you'd always said that with his previous health issues and stuff, you know, you always kind of, he wanted to play football, he wanted to be with all the boys doing the regular
can't.
boy stuff, and he can't. So, but I think you'd see him at the football games or whatever, and he wants to be down and running around with the rest of them and having fun.
Jade
so,
has
yeah.
never been a quitter, and Jade does, I think because he's had this all his life, he doesn't realize his limitations. The PE teachers every year have shared with me that we have to say, Jade, we think you need to sit down. No, I don't. Yes, we think you need to.
A real boy.
You know, so he doesn't think of himself as, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, one of the things you were talking about was how not just the school, because the school seemed like they reacted the best way any parent, grandparent could want, but as far as like the police and the EMTs, what kind of happened with that?
Well, it was amazing.
So.
We were at the hospital, and Robert DeLuca and his wife were there, and he made the comment he thought they might, he didn't think really, but they might airlift him from the school. When Jade was younger, he couldn't ride in a helicopter. He had to have a pressurized cabin. So my husband and I, we went to the school just to kind of, till we heard from his cardiologist. Well, by the time we got there, we had heard from him, and he said, yes, he'll be fine. And when we got there, we realized they were going to take him by ambulance to the helicopter pad out here, which these people were amazing, you know. And I, of course, wanted to ride with him. And so I got to ride in the cab of the ambulance, not back there with him. There wasn't room. They were having to work on him pretty steadily while we were going. But I was really impressed. I mean, really, because we left the school, we were accompanied by police officers down Sedosa. We got to Seaman here, and there was a 91st District police car blocking Seaman. We turned on that. We come down Seaman, still being accompanied by the police. We got down here to these intersections. They were blocked by highway patrols. We turned right, and the highway patrols fell in behind us, went around us, and was moving people over down Miracle Mile. They got ahead of us and blocked off the intersection at Walmart. We went through, no problem. Got out there to the little intersection there by the Dairy Queen, and David Hullum was there in his 91st District Court car. He was actually outside blocking traffic, and we turned, went down the access road, and the highway patrols blocked the off-ramp. One of them went on and turned sideways on the access road and blocked that traffic. We never had to even hesitate. And I made a comment to the lady that was driving the ambulance, one of the EMTs. I said, well, I'm kind of impressed. Do y'all do this for everybody? And she said, no. But she said, this is the call we never want to get. We practice for this, but we never want to get this call. And later on, I got the opportunity. I tried to catch as many of them as I could and thank them. But I got the opportunity to visit with David Hullum, and he said, well, you know, he said, I told my wife, he said, I pray we never go through that, but if we do, he said, I pray that we have as many officers in town as they did that day. He
That
said,
night,
we had an unusual amount of officers, and it was just God. I mean, God knew what was going to take place, and so they had all these officers here and was able, and it worked like clockwork. They just worked so smooth.
But you did helicopter to Houston, is that right?
No, we went to Fort Worth first.
Oh, you went to Fort Worth?
Went to Fort Worth first. They took him to Cook's, and he stayed there from Thursday till Tuesday. And of course, they had to shock him several times the first night, and they went in on Friday and put in the temporary pacemaker. And their cardiologist, which were very good also, just decided that the heart couldn't be saved. It couldn't be anything. They didn't think it would withstand a valve replacement again and everything. And so he said, we're going to put this out to some hospitals. I know you'd like to stay in Texas if possible. He said, now, and this will take a little while, anywhere from 24 to 48 to even longer. And he come back in 3 hours, and he said, you're not going to believe this, but he said, Texas Children's called. They think they can help, and they've got a bed. He said, this is unheard of. Well, no, it's God is what it is.
Yeah.
And so they sent the jet. Mandy and Justin were actually home because Jade's little brother Caleb turned 9 that Tuesday, and so they had come home to kind of celebrate his birthday with him, and we stayed with Jade. And Mandy's mom at that time was helping with the others, you know. I mean, it's a family affair. And so she got back up there in time to go with him, and got up there, and they said, well, we think we can fix this. And I don't really want to go into everything, but because of the difficulties with the transplant and Jade's age, they desperately wanted to try to fix it first. And Justin and Mandy, and I can't stress this enough because they realize what the family's going through, but people tend to concentrate on Jade. And I'm not going to go into it, but the decisions that our son and daughter-in-law have had to make are just unheard of. I don't know how they've done it. I don't. And that following Monday for 15 hours, and they ended up replacing the aortic and the mitral and the pulmonary valve. They got in there and found problems with the aortic artery and the pulmonary artery. Took some cleaning and rebuilding, and then they had to take loose some of the little arteries and clean them out, reattach them. He's got a new heart. He doesn't have a transplant heart, but his heart has completely been rebuilt. This took place on Monday, and they brought him out open. Said, we want him to rest. He was on the small life support machine, I think that's what you call it. And they said, we want him to rest. If he does good all night, then we'll go back in tomorrow, put in the pacemaker and the defibrillator, so another 5.5 hours on Tuesday. They sewed him up, and on Friday, they had him up out of the bed, sitting up in a chair. It is just a miracle. Just a miracle. This community has come together. People stop us on the street, stop us in Walmart, give us a hug. You know, we love you, we're praying for you. We've had financial support that we can't even fathom.
Are there family facilities there at the hospital that they can
They had a Ronald McDonald room while he was in ICU, but now that he's out of ICU, Mandy stays with him in the room. They have like a little sofa bed. It's a little bit bigger
well,
than
that's where she'd rather be. Yeah.
Right. And so she'll stay there. But yes, the hospital's wonderful, and they made sure that all their needs are met. And she said they did say that after he is dismissed from the hospital, they will stay down there in Houston, I'm assuming at a Ronald McDonald House, for at least a week, maybe a little longer.
Just to watch.
To see how he's going to do, see how his medicine, and all that kind of stuff. And then they'll have to make regular trips back to Houston for
Checkup.
quite some time. And probably right at the beginning, they'll be real frequent.
So right now, I mean, if anybody going through this, I mean, what can the community, what can people do now to help? I mean, I know everybody wants to help, and what's the biggest need right now?
I don't know.
I know y'all ready to get him home, but I mean...
just the prayers. The prayers have been the huge... That's what saved his life. That's what's got him to this point, is the prayers. People going, to the throne of God and saying, intervene here.
You got to believe that God has some purpose for that young man.
Yes.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Okay, Neil, that I bet I remember when those kids came to church for special occasions, Mother's Day or Father's Day and so forth. So, of course, he was smaller then, but they were there.
It's just wonderful. We've had Brother Sean called and prayed with us on the way to Fort Worth that day. He called us to find out, and he said a prayer with us right there on the phone. The Methodist preacher, I do not know personally, but we were told that they sent out an email to their entire congregation the morning of the surgery and said, remember to pray for Jayden. Brother Roberts and them check with us frequently, on how he's doing and bring him up for prayer and stuff. So a lot of the churches have really been good to, and the financial support, of course, is needed. People have been great to give, and we realize how hard this is right now, right here at the holidays.
A fund set up at the bank.
There's a GoFundMe account on Facebook. There is an account at the First Financial Bank for Jayden Justice.
Okay.
They're having a benefit Saturday evening from 6 to 8.
Well, it's at the lumberyard,
It's at the lumberyard.
which is theirs, but...
and they donated that. We didn't have to pay to use that. And the chamber has donated all the paper goods and 200 bottles of water. So it's been it's an amazing community to live in. It really is.
Well, the whole thing, it's just mind-boggling, frankly. Really.
And that's the thing. Jade knows we tell him things, but he can't grasp. I told him I went for an interview and I was coming down here, and he's like, "Why? Why did they want to talk about me?" I was like,
Well, he defied the odds. He really did. So
yeah. And The schools have been good to work with us on the kids. You know, it's really been hard on Jayden and Caleb.
Well, I was thinking, how do they cope with it?
They've done real good. It's beginning to really, they're ready to see Mama. You know,
yeah.
Daddy came in, like I said, Thursday, and he had them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday, and before he left for work. So that helped a lot.
Well, thank y'all for coming, and
Thank you for
keep
having
us
us.
posted. We'll keep that.
Tremendous to donate food and desserts and offer to help. The businesses have been great to donate. They're going to have a silent auction.
Now that's the foundation that's doing that, I believe, the Eastland Foundation.
Well, it's at the lumber
That's
yard,
at the lumber yard.
which is theirs, but
And they donated that. We didn't have to pay to use that. And
Good.
the chamber has donated all the paper goods and 200 bottles of water. I mean, people have just helped so tremendously.
Yeah.
I believe, I'm not sure, Denitra Dunn and Jenna Wood from Cisco are the ones that have pretty much done this. But I believe, and I may be mistaken, that they have actually got the auction items on view, on display at the chamber, where you can go in and look. It is a silent auction, you know. So, and then later on, they're going to do a raffle for a shotgun for him. The elementary school went together and sold T-shirts. They should be here today or tomorrow. They sent home forms and they sold T-shirts. I believe they said they ended up selling about 230 T-shirts for them.
good.
So it's been it's an amazing community to live in. It really is.
Well, the whole thing, you know, is just mind-boggling, frankly.
And that's the thing. Jade knows we tell him things, but he can't grasp. You know, I told him I went for an interview and I was coming down here, and he's like, "Why? Why did they want to talk about me?" I was like,
Well, he defied the odds. He really did. So
yeah. And the schools have been good to work with us on the kids. You know, it's really been hard on Jayden and Caleb.
Well, I was thinking, how do they cope with it?
They've done real good. It's beginning to really, they're ready to see Mama. You know, Daddy came in, like I said, Thursday, and he had them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday, and before he left for work. So that helped a lot. But they're ready to see Mama, and they're extremely ready to see Jade. Jade is, you know, he's the middle one, and he's kind of the buffer, and they miss him terribly.
oh yeah.
So, so
Well, thank y'all for coming, and
Thank you for
keep
having
us
us.
posted. We'll keep up and.
yeah.
Now, this is going to be in the ether somewhere, everywhere, so your story is going far and wide.
It's amazing.
He will do it.
It's amazing, and y'all have been so good to cover it, and the radio station, and you know, I wonder how we did things before Facebook.
I'm not really sure.
Because boy, people got.